Welcome back to Secrets of the Opposite Sex. As you know, last week I had the fellas on to discuss the challenges they're facing in the dating world in their 30s, approaching 40. So this week it's only right that we have some equally amazing ladies on to give their point of view.
My name is Jessica. I am 38 and I live in Baltimore, Maryland.
My name's Mia. I am 39 and I live in Dallas, Texas, and I'm big single.
Come on, big single.
Hello, my name is Danielle Kelly. I am 37 years old and I'm currently dating.
Oh, okay.
You got to add that in, right? Because
you really do.
you have to definitely, and I had this conversation with him for a very long time. Like, I need to know what are we actually doing? We need to be on the same page.
Mhm.
Like, are we dating today? Are we going to, STK and then I'm going, to Brooklyn Chop House with someone else tomorrow? So I need to just make sure we're on the same page.
I love one dick for you, girl.
Let's be clear.
So special.
Just like we do every episode, we pull questions from the relationship and dating party game, Secrets of the Opposite Sex. And so I have to ask you, just like I asked the fellas last week, starting off, what are your toxic traits? And do you tell these men up front, or is it like a scavenger hunt? They gotta find it.
Okay, so my relationship status is it's complicated. And I think I baby people. So I don't know if it's toxic to them because I want to be everybody's mom. So I want to take care of you and baby you. And the next thing you know, you're just, and I'm exhausted and then I get angry and then I take that shit out on you. But then also my work is really in season. It's really high stress. And I tend to take out those frustrations onto my partner. So I think those two things. I'm very hot and cold. That's probably the best way to put it.
I think I'm like that too. Very nurturing, sometimes to a fault. Like last dude I dated that I actually really cared about, working with him through things that he was going through. Meanwhile, my life was trashed, had a lot going on. And I think that me coming out the gate being so very giving in that way and very focused on him and not me probably pushed him out the door. Also, just receiving good energy, not feeling like it's genuine, feeling like I'm the only genuine person in this situation and playing it that way. But then once I do start feeling like, oh, okay, maybe it is genuine, it might be too late.
You know what's funny? When y'all were talking, I was just thinking about and sad that this has to be like a toxic trait, like wanting to be nurturing and to take care of people and do good for them. Because usually, if there's reciprocity, they should want to do that for you too. So there should be balance.
Right.
But one thing I noticed is like when I'm talking to my younger girlfriends that are still in their 20s, they ain't doing it. Like they're all about me, take care of me, and they giving the bare minimum in return.
They are so.
But they got it. Listen, they got men though.
They got men. I gotta give it to them for that. I swear that mentality that they have, I'm not even mad at it because it's working for them. And not to say it in a shitty way, but it's like they're getting all the benefits.
Yeah, for sure.
And the men complain about that. That's the crazy part. You're complaining about all these women and how they feel this way, but those are the women that you're choosing. So what do you want?
The men that are complaining, they low-key like that shit.
Yes.
They like the chase. They want to, just like
chaos.
Women, yeah, we want to find a man and save him, but they want to okay, you know what? I'm gonna get her to change. And
my toxic trait, and I actually have been in therapy working on myself, besides other things, is definitely ghosting. I will just pull back when I feel like you aren't either giving me attention, or if I have to repeat myself more than once to let you know what's bothering me. You heard me the first time. I'm just gonna exit because if you're not listening, so what's the point? You're talking to the wall, so you might as well treat them how we treat, the buildings when we walk by.
Wait, that's toxic? I didn't know that was toxic.
Apparently it is.
I've done that.
So Mia, I'll dig even deeper for you, right? I actually realize that it is toxic because we go into situations like we want communication, right? We want communications from these men. So if they're not communicating back to us, it's like, oh, well, F it, because you hurt me. Instead of saying like, hey, I'm hurting. Like, this hurts my feelings. I don't like this. How can we fix this, moving forward? And if you can't follow through and you don't want to fix or you don't want to communicate, then it's just like, okay, well, see you later. But I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to see you later. I'm probably not going to see you later.
Right.
You're just going to say something at least. Like,
now I'm better. Right. Because usually I remember I was dating someone and he wasn't communicating with me. Like, literally a week went by and we didn't speak, and we were supposed to go out the following week. So he kind of ghosted me. But the day that we were supposed to go out, I didn't hear from him. So, the meme that they always have, like, oh, if I don't hear from you the day we're supposed to go out, I'm not going. Right. He actually hit me the day after and said to me, oh, it's not me. I've been going through a lot. I'm 37. You can tell me you're going through a lot. Life is life and for everybody.
I don't feel like that's toxic though, to like cut so, because if I feel like that's just reciprocating energy. I don't necessarily feel that's toxic. That's just
none
like,
of my business. Whatever
you're
you
showing me what it is, so I'm gonna just move based on your
accordingly. But I also unfollow too. Like, I'm cut you off.
We're gonna get to that question, girl. We're gonna get to that question,
girl.
A mutual friend hooked us up. So he went to my mutual friend and was like, oh, I feel so bad. I really did like her. She was like the girl I like actually want, but it's just like, you're not communicating with me. And I don't know that life is life. Life is life for me too. I'm not gonna stop my life and ask you what's going on if you can't simply just have a dialogue. I think I opened the door for everyone to come to me if there's an issue. So if you can't, then there's no need to
none of my business.
Anything, a friendship or a follow. Like, why are you following my social media for what? It's a little weird to me. It's
that's
weird.
Like
stalking. It's the new age of stalking, because my page is open. So let me just unfollow you and remove you as my follower.
How would you describe your current dating journey and the challenges that you're encountering?
I came from a situation where I literally, I didn't work. If I wanted to, I could have. And when I did work, it was like, just keep your money. And then I'm here. And granted, I do everything for myself. Like, I own my house, everything is fine. But he would be here a lot. And I'm like, bro, you got to contribute if you're going to be here. But then at the same time, I'm also the kind of person that I like my space. So I wouldn't want him to contribute too much, because when I want you to go, I want you to go.
Right.
So that started to cause a lot of problems. But I think just in general, like, I'm starting to learn that things really need to be equal, like on both ends, like financially, just mentally. Like, you both have to be willing to listen to each other and listen to hear each other, and then take accountability. Because a lot of times I think you get angry and you just don't hear what the other person, like, you really don't take in what the other person's saying. So you can't fix it just because they say one thing that offends you, and then it's like you just put the wall up. That has been one thing that I'm trying to learn how to do now, is take the feedback that I'm given when things aren't at their best. I also won't date anybody moving forward. Like, he doesn't have a kid, but after him, like, I would never date somebody who does not have a kid. I don't know if I want to have a kid anymore, or if I can. I mean, I'm just older, but if it doesn't happen, I don't need you coming to me 5 years from now being like, oh, you can give me a baby. Like, so to me, that's actually like a deal breaker.
And I don't want to date somebody who does not want kids. You gotta want kids. I don't want you to have a kid, but if you do, I mean, I'm 39, so at this point, how many of those are left? I always say, and I always talk to my family and friends, and anytime I'm talking to someone, I always talk about listening to understand and not to respond. That is a huge thing for me. I don't like people cutting me off when I speak. You didn't even let me get my whole thought out. Like, hear me first before you decide to respond to me. And don't just respond quickly, just off of what you heard. Actually process what I'm saying, and I'm going to do the same so that we can move in a productive way whenever we're having this conversation.
I think I always had a challenge of finding someone my age, or at least around my age group. I think the youngest I went was 15 years.
Oh, wow.
I love that for you. Cheers again.
Right?
One day, and
that's a push.
But it was short-lived, and then before that, it was 10 years. So I was like, oh, 10 years isn't too bad. But I'm like, no, it is, because my sister and I are 12 years apart. So it does not make any sense. And I realized that, right? So I just ended up like, you know what? I finally found someone older than me, and he gets it. He communicates. But even in that, I had to kind of work on myself. Like I said, my toxic trait is kind of like he got out of something not too long ago, and there was still a little bit of a challenge in the communication department. And when I would tell him like, hey, like I don't like certain things, maybe like a month or two later, he would do it again. It's just like, I'm repeating myself again. And I'm trying to communicate. It was so early on. It's kind of just like, I could kind of just walk away and just be like, whatever. But because I'm working on myself and because I think that he's older and even him, he's working on himself. And I think we're just working separately and together to kind of figure out what's the next steps. That's why I say exclusively dating, because we're working together.
How much older is he?
4 years. Not that much older.
That's good.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's a good range.
It's just going backwards. When you're dating someone 4 years younger, it's like, yeah, no, what what water are you sipping?
The funny
Mm.
part is, most recently I went all the way up to like 44, and I was just like, are you 44 or are you 24? Because it felt like
Right.
I couldn't tell the difference,
Right.
Yeah.
Same,
Mhm.
same issues, same
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Like
Like I
it's
said, they're
Yeah.
all stupid.
I used to say that too, Jess. I feel like, you guys are just real stupid. You're not gonna mature until you're like 50.
I don't even think they do then. I think they're innately like
They don't.
just not
is there an age?
curious.
They don't.
You can't even put an age on it at this point.
Yeah, exactly. No, they're
Right.
like innate. Like when I see some of the stuff that my nephews do, and then I see like what my brother or like my dad, it's just, and it's like the silliest stuff. But then I'm like, man,
Right.
you guys are just like, it's just within you. Like you can't help it. So I try to sympathize with it a little bit because some of the shit they can't really help.
I need an example. I need just one example they can't help. Because
So
everything is a choice.
So my stepdad, who is the loveliest human being in the whole wide world, he's 80. He is absolutely amazing. He does this thing where he puts his dish next to the sink. He does not put it inside the sink. It drives my mom absolutely crazy. My nephew, who is 12, does the same thing. But it's like little things like that. Bro, you're a very successful grown-ass man who's done amazing things with his life and you can't get it. And then
Right.
you're 12 and you might have face planted on to something skating 2 hours ago. Like they do the same thing. So I just got to chalk it up to them just being dumb.
That was a good example. Never mind.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Can you share some reflections or lessons that you wish you would have known going into your 30s?
Like I wish I would have focused on myself, whether it's mentally, physically, in my career, and let whatever was going to happen come.
Mhm.
But I think even society low key puts this thing like when you're like 29, it's like, oh my God, you turned 30. And especially back then, because social media wasn't really a thing. So you couldn't see other women in their 50s and in their 60s, like
Mhm.
doing amazing things. Like we come from the generation where we all thought we were going to be married at
Mhm.
25 with kids at
27.
26, 27. But
Girl.
when it didn't happen at 29, you're like,
What the fuck?
this is not what we signed up
Hello.
for. Like, and you have society telling you like, oh, you should have a kid by now. And
Okay.
you should do
Girl.
this. So I wish I would have just focused on myself and my journey and let what was for me come to me and not been so focused on forcing what was for me.
Mm. I feel like men put pressure on you too. I was in New Orleans last week. We went to Frenchman Street to hear some music, and this old guy started talking to me. And he had his ring on. He was married. We just were having a conversation, and he asked me how old I was, and I told him. And then he said, "Well, you haven't been married before. You don't have kids. And it was almost like I feel pressure every time I hear that, every single time. And he's not the only one. Every guy I meet. It's like, whoo, you're an anomaly. You're a unicorn. You're this, you're that. Why don't you have those things?
Thank you. I was about to
What's
say that.
wrong with you? Well,
Yeah.
I feel like the younger ones, those are the ones that are like, oh, why don't you? What's wrong with you? Are you crazy? But the older ones, they don't really approach it like that. They're just like, well, do you want to be married? They pose those
Right.
questions. Do you want to be married? Do you want to have kids? Are you focused on your career? They kind of dig a little deeper than the other people who just look at it, at surface level and say, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" Which is annoying.
I think for me, I was single going into my 30s. So, but I actually got out of a really bad relationship before that. So it was more so like I was already focused on me. Like, you know what? I'm gonna just have fun. coming into 30. I'm like, 30 they say 30 is the new 20, right? And it's way better because we have money because we was broke in our 20s. So I think I really embodied all of that. I was just like, I'm just gonna live my life. And I think I got more of my feelings when I turned 35.
Do any of you regret not having kids up like before this point?
No.
Because I absolutely do not. Like, I could not imagine having a kid in my fucking 20s.
Like not in my 20s, for sure.
No.
Girl.
Mine, like,
I mean, but yeah,
my
like
20s would have been down bad.
yeah, but like just like, I mean, technically at 35, it's a geriatric pregnancy. Like, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
But I cannot.
Somebody told me that.
Yeah, like having a kid before 35, like I was so fucking dumb. I was dumb like boys. Obviously, we're all in like the same age range. I'm just making sure I'm not the only person that's like, okay, yeah.
No, I even feel like I was a better auntie with my second nephew because I had more experience, like more life experience, a little bit more money, more like, more knowledge. Like I just felt like I was more mature by the time he came into the world. And I was just so fresh and just really young when my first nephew was born. So yes, I can't imagine like those being mine. Like and being up there by you with me 24/7, can't give you back.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Can't imagine it. Can't imagine.
I don't know if I don't regret it. For me, it's like, well, did I miss my mark? Did I miss my chance to do so? These men are not cooperating. Like, is me waiting on a husband to have kids the wrong thing to do? I've had all those thoughts. And I guess now, especially since I'm closer to 40, it's like, okay, kind of like what y'all were saying earlier, just letting things happen the way that they are supposed to happen and living in the now, and not focusing on the future or the past. I think going back to the question, coming into my 30s, I think that's what I would have done differently. Just focus on present. And I was really focused a lot on the bad things that can happen instead of expecting good things to happen.
Oh my
I've
God.
changed my mindset so much in the last like 2 years. But I'm always reaffirming myself. What I think about, I bring about. I let things flow to me. Like that kind of stuff keeps me on the up and up. And I wish that I was thinking about those things when I was turning 30 and living just in the present.
I always, like you, wanted to be a mother. I feel like I was born to have like multiple children. I wanted 3. Now it's like 1 or 2, right? Even I was even at a point where I was thinking about freezing my eggs, going to the doctor and everything. And then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna let God handle what he needs to handle. Stop thinking so negatively. I have an older sister. So we have a big gap, right? My older sister's 10 years apart. My younger sister's 12 years apart. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I wouldn't worry too much about it because my older sister just had a child at 39 and she is heaven sent. And, she also, that's the one person I vent to every day. And she told me, like, don't worry about it. It'll happen on your time. So I'm telling you the same thing. Like, I think, especially now, especially because we're getting closer to 40, we're financially stable,
Right.
And I feel like we're more mature now.
Right.
Because I was just like Jess. I was a little tomboy back in the day. You gave me a kid, I probably would have been detention too. Like, so I think I'm more mature now more than ever.
Right.
So I think between now and 40, I think I'll be definitely ready in a better mental space.
Thank you for that.
One of my best friend's moms had her at 44. Another one of my best friend's moms had her at 43. And my godbrother, his sister, had her first kid at 42 and her second kid at 45.
Oh, wow.
So,
wow. Okay.
Period. This is what I've kind of been doing too, like just preparing myself, like eating better, taking care of myself. Breast cancer was really heavy in my family, like my mom, my grandmother, my aunts, my father, they all had cancer. So I'm very I'm working out. I really cut back on drinking. And I like to go, y'all know I like to go out though, but
dance hall queen.
Me too.
Right. But I definitely try to take way better care of myself now because look, we in our childbearing ages, we getting ready to be mommies, ladies. So we got to be ready
with money and sense.
Period.
There you go. And a good mean.
Give our kids a soft life,
I ain't doing it by myself.
Soft life, where they can communicate with us, not like we couldn't with our parents.
Bingo.
That is so big too. That is such a big point. You nailed it.
That's real.
Yeah.
Okay. So what advice would you give to other women in similar situations who might feel the same weight of like a biological clock or that are struggling with dating?
Everything works out the way it's supposed to. When I talk to my kids at school, and it's funny because I'll hear them. So they're all college age like student athletes, and they'll be talking, and I'm just listening to their problems. I'm like, you guys don't have a
They have
fucking
no
clue
clue.
No clue.
Have
what
no clue.
problems are.
Oh, life is
And I
coming.
tell them all the time, I'm like, you know what? Just have faith in the timing of your life. Like, what is for you
Mm,
is going to be for you. And I read something recently, and it
Mhm.
was just like, we're always worried about the bad. Mia, when you said something, and it made me think about this, but it's like, we're always worried about the bad. But if you really think about how many bad days you have out of a whole year, where you're just like, nah,
mhm.
I'm completely over it. It's probably a handful.
A few years worth of bad days. Unfortunately. But fortunately, I came out on the other side. And I think a part of that was me getting in my shower every night when I didn't have a job for 10 months and thanking God for it before it even got here. Thank you, God, for the salary that I need, that I want to make beyond what I even need to make. Thank you, God, for this car that I want. Thank you, God, for my health. Thank you, God, for my family's health. Thank you, God, for all these. My sister needs a kidney. I'm thanking God in advance already, like for my sister's kidney, because I know it's gonna come. So just believing and having faith and being just in gratitude for those things that are coming that you can't even see yet. You got to see it before you see it, or you'll never see it. I try to like live by that too.
I can definitely relate to that because I'm more on the spiritual side as well. So I definitely will continuously bigging myself up. I was very
Yeah.
insecure growing up, but I had a quick mouth. So it was kind of just like, no one ever knew, So now I kind of like walk in confidence every single day. I think I've really grown into myself is that I've let go of just kind of shielding myself and like saying like, oh, this is what I want. I want the 6'5". He got to make
Oh
this
yeah.
much money. And it's just kind of like, we aim for things that we want and never what we need. And I'm going to sound so like a big mush when I say this, but I actually told him, the guy that I'm dating now, is like, I felt like when we met and we started dating each other, your heart kind of matched mine. And that is why I'm like, you know what, let me hold on to you a little longer. Let me see where this kind of goes. Instead of like,
That's so
oh,
sweet.
like, thank you. Like, oh, he's tall, he plays basketball, he got a nice booty. We could find somebody else that is mentally here with us because
Hello.
a lot of them
Hmm.
that's on that court that we think is
Right.
like, oh my God, it ain't it.
Ain't it? And they think they it, and they not it.
That's a word.
And period. Like we all have our different levels of confidence, but sometimes some people need a little humbling. And I've been humbled.
I feel like the way we think about ball players and what they think of themselves, that's what all men in Dallas think of themselves.
I can't
And they could
say
work at the bus stop.
In New York. New York too.
Girl, all these cities, ain't nobody acting right. I asked the fellas at the round table, what's the proper social media protocol when you stop talking to someone? And that's on a scale of a failed talking stage all the way to a full-blown relationship.
I'm private.
if it didn't work out and it was amicable and you're like, you know what, we're just not compatible, then I think
Yeah.
you guys can still be cool. Like, I don't mind if you follow me. I'm not gonna fucking go out of my way to unfollow you. Now, if you piss me off or it was on bad terms, absolutely not. And depending on how bad it was, I might block you. So yeah, but I think if it's
That
just
part.
like one of those situations where it at our age, I feel like we just know, like, you know what, this isn't gonna work. It was cool, we tried, whatever, just keep it moving. There's no bad blood.
I'm private, so I don't do I don't do all of that. Because I don't like people in my business. And should it fail, I don't want people out of my business. You would never know that I've ever talked to anybody based off of my page. We would have to be engaged. Like you go see my engagement announcement because I don't do all of that.
If you met somebody and got pregnant before you got engaged, would you
Hmm.
post them? If it was good, like if you were happy, you just hadn't gotten there yet. Like, what if you just met
Happy.
them?
Okay. Well, yeah, because hopefully we're talking about getting married at that point. So yeah, maybe. But I mean, it would have to be like I know he's gonna be in my life forever,
Okay.
or we're planning on being together forever. You don't know shit, but planning on being in my life forever.
I think for me, I'll give you a perfect example, right? So this guy chased me for years. I even took my time dating him. Like the whole, remember the 3-month rule, guys? Remember that?
Mm.
I did that.
I ain't never had that.
Got together and ended in 3 months. Oh, I let him continue to follow me, right? It wasn't bad blood. It was more so like you just wasn't ready to take the next. That you just weren't there, which is fine. That is one rule for me. It doesn't have to be for everybody else. You could call me stubborn. I don't care. I'm not spinning the block because, like I said before, you probably heard me the first time.
Mhm.
So what makes you think? How do I know you're gonna hear me the second time? It's just I don't want to go through it. I'm just gonna date somebody else. So he got into a full blown relationship. Like it was all over social media. I was like, oh, okay. I was fine, right? Still followed him. Double tap. I think they had got into it and they weren't speaking. Long story short, he jumped in my DMs and invited me to a trip, a weekend trip. I said, I look dumb to you. Like I was like, I moved on from you. And he's just like, oh, I didn't know we weren't friends. I was like, we're not. Plain and simple. Like you can still follow me, but we don't have to be friends. Girl, he unfollowed me, removed me as a follower, and then went about his life, which was fine. I was just like, but I thought it was funny because it's kind of like I told you know how I move. Like when I'm dating you, I'm dating you. I'm not talking to these other folks. So I feel
Right.
like he wasn't respecting that because you know me for years. So now it's like, oh, you want to take me on a trip, which is a little crazy because you were just in a full blown relationship about July 7, because I'm looking
Tried it.
right. You tried it. Now
He
this was
tried it. He was just trying to see if you were gonna bite,
Hello. Yeah.
so he
and
can
I
lead you astray.
exactly. I was like, I'm good.
If the relationship was really serious, you could cut off all communication. Like if you guys have been together for years
Mhm.
and you like if you lived it, like if your lives were very heavily intertwined, I think you do need to cut off all communication and like not follow
Oh
them.
yeah.
No matter if you guys moved on amicably, if it was fucked up, whatever the case may be, if
Yeah.
you were planning a life together, then no, I absolutely think like you have to completely
Cut it
cut
off.
them off.
I
Because that's
agree.
Sometimes not even just for you though, for them. I have an ex that he felt like he needed the access to me.
Mm.
I need to be able to call her. I want to call her. I want to do this. I want to do that. And we have mutual friends. He would go to that friend and be like, well, what she got going on? What's she doing? Well, I just want to talk to her. I just want to do this. Like all kinds of and it's like, dude, you do not need access to me. You don't need to know what's going on in my life. You don't need to be my Facebook friend. You don't need to be my Instagram
Right.
friend. You had the chance to be a good person. And here we are. So like let it go. So sometimes you just gotta cut off communication for their asses because they seem to feel like they're entitled sometimes to you
Yeah.
and to your energy, and no, absolutely not.
And they want to stick around because they know the type of woman you are. That's why they spend the block.
Absolutely.
They know what they
You
missed
better
out
know it.
on, but you don't
Now
get
I will spin the block once. I will,
oh
depending
no.
on who it is. Now give me, it depends on the
what kind of are
situation.
you like completely like what kind of spinning the block? Because there are different levels to spinning the block. Like, is it just are you just having a good time? I
No,
won't take the
it would have to be a full spin the block.
oh no.
You got your shit together.
Yeah.
We on the
Yeah, no.
same page. But I'm not saying from a person that cheated, like say we were in a relationship, he cheated and it was a bad situation. Say we just weren't aligned at the time and he spends and then we decide to just go part ways. But then we see each other 2 years later, somebody spins the block. I'm okay with that. If
What
we're aligned at that moment.
Have you found that men our age range share similar concerns or experiences? Like same issues that
Mhm.
we're having in dating?
I
Yeah,
think so.
absolutely.
I think they just don't know how to express it.
Because like I said, I
I
did
don't believe it.
fellas, and I was just shocked. I was like, how do we have the same issues and the same concerns a- and we fumbling in the same areas of dating? There is got what the disconnect?
I think
Like,
it's really hard to make yourself vulnerable these days because people are just
Yeah.
on some
Mm.
like either they want to like portray something for Instagram or they're like, oh, I need to find somebody. So they're just desperate for light. I think it's just being caught up in society. And then I also think that like there's this stigma, like if you have a 9 to 5, that's a bad fucking thing. Bro, I love my nines. I love my benefits,
I do too.
but I feel like
Mhm.
there's this weird stigma that if you're not a business owner and if you don't make upper 6 figures and if you don't do that, then like you're not a man or you're not doing that's not the norm. Like let's be realistic. That is not the fucking norm for most people in this country.
Right.
First
But-
of all, six figures can't get you shit in New York. I'm gonna tell you
Yeah.
Not
that.
a thing. Okay.
Yeah.
It can barely get you shit in Dallas.
I was gonna
so.
say, yeah. But just I think that there's just a lot that gets lost in translation when it comes to our generation, because we're that weird, like, husband is the provider. And we saw it. It's not like something that we just heard on a fucking podcast, like these 20-year-olds, like, oh, the man is supposed to. Girl, your mom was fucking in the club with me. Like, sit the fuck down. Your dad is probably nowhere to be found. I do not want to hear that. You have never seen the man provide. But we've seen it. Like, it is different for our generation.
Yeah.
So it's weird because there's that whole stigma, but then at the same time, unless you live in a place like DC or New York or some shit like that, but for most of the country, that's not the fucking norm. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to find that. Like, it is really hard. So I think that there's just a lot of disconnect and ego and with
Trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma.
You have to, don't forget that trauma. They have childhood trauma just like we do.
Yes. Yeah.
So it used to crack me up because I remember this guy told me I have daddy issues. I was like, well, you have mommy issues. Your mom is gone. And not in that way, because that was mean. But it's just like, you lost your mother and
Like, whoa.
you're treating, like, he's looking at me and like 3 other girls. I was like, you could keep that because I like my health.
Hello.
I had a nice,
That part.
healthy build this up to this point. Like, no way. I'm just
Right.
like, but you're treating us like, we're disposable.
Right.
And I was like, no, I can't do that.
No, it's funny that you say that because I feel like I've noticed that with a lot of men. Like, there's this desire, this need for women's attention because they lack that growing up.
Right.
Mhm.
So they're constantly like, they're getting it in every single place that they can. And it's just like, it's not even them coming from a bad place, but like you said, it's coming from trauma. Like,
And like, maybe he didn't know how to deal, but I'm not a therapist. I don't want to sit here and console you about something I don't know.
I think that's the frustrating part, when they can identify the root of the issue, but they don't want to deal with the issue. Because I dated a guy, this was some time ago, but that was his only thing. Like, we had a great relationship, but boy, when something just clicked and just it kicked that childhood trauma and it came in full force, and it was just like ruin his whole day, ruin my day, because he was together, done killed our plans. And it's just like, no matter how many times I even found therapists for him, like, you just don't want to help yourself. And it's to the point where we both grown, baby. Like, I can't make you want to do this for yourself. You gotta want to help.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
you want to help it, because otherwise you're gonna be sitting in therapy just like, I'm just here for the sake of being here.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's
Right.
what Marshawn Lynch say?
sad.
I'm just here so I don't get
My
fined.
boo, I love him,
Exactly.
child.
That's that energy. Like,
Hey, Marshawn. I got Badu energy out here, baby.
I
Come
know
on
that's
down.
right. I know that's right. Okay. All right, y'all. Before we get into the next segment, I need to know, what would you say your absolute deal breakers are, or some things that stick out as red flags during the dating phase?
I live in Baltimore, so I will say, if you sell drugs,
Feels necessary.
there's a reason why I
Okay,
can't.
soldier.
Like, if you do too much on social media, if
Too
you're
much.
always posting like money or like
Mhm.
you're doing this or doing that, you don't need to entertain anybody for the gram.
Bunch of selfies.
Another one, like I said, it's if you don't have kids, because I don't know how I feel about kids at this point, and I don't need you coming back to me a couple
Full-blown
years
red
later.
flag, though.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, no, because I feel like no, because I feel like men will say one thing and then 5 years later be like, oh, I want a kid. And then it's like, so I've just invested 5 years of my life, what, 43 at that point, but like, I've just invested all this time and now you decide you want a kid, and that can be a deal breaker, and that's serious. Like, there's no coming back from that. Like, there's no gray in that. So I don't need you coming to me like, oh, well, no, you told me you didn't want a kid, but then they can say that. And then what do I say? There's no argument. I can't do this for you. So obviously, where are we? Like, what is the option? The only option is okay, I just have to start fucking over because you woke up one morning like, hey, I want a baby. But
you said you don't know if you want to have a kid or not, right?
Yeah, no, and exactly. I don't know, but I'm not gonna make an effort to have a baby at this point. I'm not looking for somebody to have a baby. I'm not stressing myself about it. If it doesn't, I'm not like, I feel like I have friends that have had kids because I felt like that was what they were supposed to do, and they're fucking miserable.
I get that. No, that's a real ass. I understand now more because I'm kind of on the fence with that too. Like, as much as I would love to be a mother,
And that's not to say I don't think I'd be a great mom too.
but that has to be communicated too. You know, like marriage is a business deal. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how you piece it. You know, it's a little harder to leave. And I hate when they say it's cheaper to keep, but it's cheaper to keep him too, because maybe I want to get him the fuck out of here. But there's a kid involved. But that's why I'm like, I'm pro like prenup. Like, you protect yourself at all costs. I'll even put that in. Like, listen, if I don't want a kid, make sure you sign out on that dotted line. You don't want it. Include it. Fuck it. They include everything else.
I think I said this earlier, just basically piggybacking off of that. Guys who aren't accountable for their actions.
That's a good one.
That point do a lot of finger pointing. She was this, I was that. Women ain't shit. All of that. Like, I don't like that kind of energy. You are negative and I ain't got it for you. Beat it. I don't like that. And I don't like men who are like loud and boisterous. I like a low key man. I'm usually on about 8. So I need to be a solid 3. When I am chill, I'm chill, like super chill. Right. And so I like a man who, I also like a man who just doesn't like to be on the scene. And just wants to he's not all over taking pictures of himself and got his business everywhere. Just relax. He goes to work. He comes home to me. I like them kind of men.
I'm going to be back off of you. So I'm definitely on 10. Like, I love to dance. I love to go out. I love to be in the scene. They, you know, because I'm such a vibrant person. I love meeting new people. I love being outside. I was dimming my light when I was with him. And, you know, I think, you know, obviously we're younger, but my friends seen it. They seen what I didn't see. You know, I was like, I thought this was what I was supposed to do. And I just wasn't me. And then I started feeling like, damn, I'm really not me. Like, I want to be on a dance floor, you know, Harlem shaking and shit with my friends, but I know he doesn't like that, or I don't want to embarrass him and stuff like that. So now it's just like, listen, this is how I am 24/7. So I need that balance. Like, you know, he has to be able to accept you in all different spaces and like walk with you in confidence. Like, if I'm coming home to you, there shouldn't be no conversation like, or why you're upset because I'm out on the dance floor, you know? So that's definitely a big red flag. So I understood that one completely.
Right.
And another one, I hate when someone's on their phone and we're on a date.
I can't stand it.
It's like, I will cut it off. Like, that's probably another toxic trait. I detach very easily. Okay, I'm out, kind of thing. But if they're on your phone, it's like, are we having dinner, or you want to call the person that you're talking to? Maybe they could join us and then I'll have your attention.
Right.
I hate that.
You said that might be a toxic trait that you detach so soon. I wish I detached.
I wish. Yeah. Yes, me too.
I feel like if you get me to let my guard down, I'm in.
Yeah.
I took a lot of L's, you know, and I could have prevented that.
Silently. But you know, you're not taking, that's another thing, you got to change your mindset. You're not taking L's. You're saving yourself.
These are lessons. These are lessons. I will say, because each situation.
How many lessons we gonna get?
I'm gonna say, I'm a fucking scholar. Like, the fuck?
PhD in this joint. Okay.
We got PhD, 3 of them.
I could write an Encyclopedia Britannica. Like,
3 of these. I mean, honestly, I'm tired of the lessons now, damn it. And I done told God, look, bruh. And that's how I talk to God. I'm sorry. I'm like, hey, listen, dog. I'm tired.
Okay, wait.
What are we doing? So, I need you to pull up on me.
One time.
I was at a funeral and the preacher said something that was really like, it hit home. And he was saying, after he says amen, and he was like, on top of that, he would say, through faith, consider it done. It really spoke to me.
Yeah, it's true. It's like, you know, when you're wishing for that job, or, you know, we're waiting for that man to come, it's like, it's already done. So you just have to keep that faith and keep, you know, throwing them prayers up, because them blessings are going to come down regardless. You just have to make sure your mindset is always there to make sure to be ready to receive them.
That is a prayer of mine. I pray that I am ready to receive him when he does arrive.
Right? Because it's coming. Be ready. You yourself have to work on being ready to receive it.
Right. That's the issue. Because I'm ready for all the other things. I can call those in easily. Can't call no man and save my damn life. That's a good one. Where are they at? Jesus.
But you also better be open to receive all of them, all your blessings that's coming to you, because shielding yourself to the person or your list, right, of the things that you want instead of opening to what your heart needs.
My list has 3 things on it. It's like use a knife and fork properly and know how to the difference between there, and there. Like that's literally what my list
There you
is.
go. Woo.
Mine is be
Like-
black.
As well, add that to the list. Woo. Lord.
Like I just need you
My
to know
list
how to
is
use a
be
knife and
black.
fork.
That's it.
And
No, don't say that's it. Don't say that's it.
Well, that's not it. But be black. That's the top of the list. That's all I ask, God. I mean, honestly, I'm not asking for much, bro. I don't get it.
And mood now that I know your red flags and your deal breakers, let's play the red flag game. So I'm going to
Oh,
read you
hell.
5 scenarios, and you just tell me if this would be a red flag for you or if you like it, you with it. Okay, so first scenario. Would it be a red flag if your date consistently avoids introducing you to their friends or family?
my parents, like, we don't want to meet anybody until you're engaged. Like that's what they told me. I'm my mother's only child. I have no family in America besides my mom. Like all of my family is in Europe or the Caribbean. So I don't have like that close sense of family that most people do. So when I do introduce you to my family, it's like it's real. I've only introduced 2 people to my family, and I was with one person for almost 10 years and the other person for 5. So for me,
Dang.
if you don't do that, then I'm okay with it. I need to know that it's really, really serious. So that's not a red flag to me. I really don't give a fuck because I'm probably not going to introduce you to my friends and family.
I would say if we've been dealing for like 9 months to a year, I would expect to meet his family. But I'm very particular about my family too. I have a big family and my family's super close. You bring somebody around, child, they are part of the family too, and then they don't go away. So I just, even if you've broken up, piggybacking off what y'all said, it would have to be super duper serious for me to feel comfortable enough to bring them around mine. But if they wanted to introduce me to theirs at 3, 4, 6, 3 months is a push. 6 months, maybe.
Okay.
9, 10 months. Okay, let's
A
see what your
year.
family got going on. Yeah,
I feel like a year is good. I feel like
Yeah.
you've seen people in their kind of seasons, and like you've seen them in different situations.
Mm-hmm.
So
After
you
a
know
year,
whether or
for
not if
sure.
you guys aren't together, like you're still gonna be friendly, like
Mm-hmm.
have an idea. But you don't know somebody in 3, 6
3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't introduce anybody besides like my little high school boyfriend because I dated the same little boy from first day of high school to the last day of high school. So,
You would.
but from then they didn't mean about
So,
32. And I feel like I made the mistake of introducing him too early.
Who did they meet?
Child, you don't even know this nigga because he lasted 5 minutes.
Oh God.
But we ain't doing that anymore until like we for show. Like, and
For
we
sure.
were in a relationship. We were in a relationship, but it was very
Mm,
fast-paced relationship.
Right.
But still, I don't think I would do that until like we in it.
That's valid.
yeah.
Time to be hearing what he at, child.
Yeah.
Woo!
Right,
I
girl.
don't know.
Listen, we gotta be together. And we gotta
Yeah.
be together.
If your date frequently cancels plans at the last minute without a valid reason, would that be a red flag?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Fuck out of here. I'm gonna
Bye.
pull a Danny.
Gotta
I'm not
go.
calling you. Yeah.
Ghosting.
That's one of them ghost moves. I'm out of
Yeah.
here. Nope.
I might unfollow you.
Bring your
Clearly you
ass
don't
on
care.
everything.
So
Good night.
I don't either.
Like you said, you don't care, and you're very inconsiderate of my time.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
Like I don't want to be friends with somebody like that. Like if my girlfriend
Nope.
did that to me, I wouldn't consider that a friend. And I think as I've gotten older, I start to put men on the same kind of like I start to compare their behavior to those of my friends. Like how would I feel if my girlfriend did this to me? I'm not rocking with that. So why the fuck should I let you do that? When if my
Right.
girlfriend is gonna sit there and wipe my tears? Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Okay.
Right.
Is it a red flag if your date frequently talks negatively about their exes or past
Absolutely.
relationships?
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Why are we talking about your ex?
I was that was exactly what I was gonna say. Why are you even talking about her?
Just we don't-
Unless I ask, and that's like first date question.
Right.
I don't need to
Right.
hear like 3, 4, 5 months from now. She got to be dead like the relationship.
Right. Act like we need to have a funeral for her because she's
Who?
gone.
Who are we
R.I.P.
talking about again? Like
The
I
ex.
don't.
The
I don't
ex.
just. I don't disturb the dead. So I don't know what that means.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just saying have a funeral for her name so she can We'll just be out of there. Have funeral
She
for
was
the
never
relationship.
born.
Put that thing in a box.
She was never born.
Put that thing in a box and bury it.
I don't know
Bye.
what it is.
Okay, so if your date constantly interrupts or talks over you during conversations, would that be a red flag?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, look, no explanation needed. Yes.
Yeah.
No. Yes.
Fix. Would it be a red flag if your person doesn't share your love language? So, for example, if you're a physical touch person, but they don't like to be touched or like to show affection, would that be a deal breaker for you?
Like if we have had the conversation and I express it like whatever my love language is, and they don't make an effort to at least try to love
Right.
me in that language, then yeah.
Mhm.
But if I don't say anything, then no, because they don't know that.
Right. Bingo. Communication is key.
Yeah. And so is detachment.
Hello? We can do that
Because they
too.
heard you the first time.
If I, if
You
I say,
heard me the first time.
but no, you have to learn that person's love language and you have to compromise.
Right.
They're not going to sit there and actually put the time into like, learn you. Then it's like, okay,
Right.
that's because you heard it the first time. Maybe the second, I might, if I really like you, you get a second, third try. And then
Right.
after that, it's just like, all right. Well,
Okay. You're not listening. Yeah.
right.
You know what?
Last segment, y'all. This is the part in the show where we turn the tables. So I've been asking y'all questions all night long. So y'all get to ask me a question that I must answer. And let's talk about it. Or something that maybe came up during the conversation that y'all want to circle back to.
Okay. I feel like you know all of us well enough. And based on what you know about us, what do you feel our red flags are? Like, where do you feel like we are failing when it comes to relationships?
For you, I would say it's stuff that I feel like we already know about ourselves. Because when we were talking about our toxic traits, it seems like we're very, aware, self-aware. Just I feel like you're very nurturing to a point where you'll just get too stuck in that role. And it's like you become a second mama. And that's a grown-ass man, baby.
I agree.
You gotta function like a man. So I think that's it. But I feel like you've come a ways. Like you're not in that same realm. Let's see, Danny. I mean, I feel like you. I don't know. I mean, because we're both Aries.
Right. You could actually take last year's Danny. Right. Because I feel like I'm a different bitch this
The
year.
whole form. I know that's right.
But I remember we was doing a lot of venting last year. So you could take last year, Danny.
Same thing. I just feel like you're making an effort to be more present. You're fully aware of what wasn't working, and you're applying that so that it does. And you giving niggas a chance. So that's a thing.
It was difficult, but yeah.
Baby steps.
Because I think I was telling Tasha I was cutting niggas off left and right. Like, yeah.
That's right.
I forgot who I told you about. Like who?
I ain't on to say some more. So
I be
I know
forgetting.
that.
I'm like,
I've done that too.
sometimes that's the hard part. That's like sticking in it. Cause it's funny, cause one of the guys can use the analogy of like being on a roller coaster, like you tick, 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 you get your first situation and you hit that drop and you out. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to see what comes next. It might level out. It might be like a whoo,
yeah.
Right.
but you don't know because you out. You know?
Right.
So
Right.
I feel like
That's real.
that's real progress. We like that.
Girl.
Mia.
Oh, chill.
Not Ocha. I feel like it's hard because I feel like you're very open, you're very receptive. I just wonder if you're making yourself as available for somebody to find you.
She's on Hinge.
Hinge is a setup. Hinge is, especially in
Absolutely
major
a
cities.
setup.
I see Black men on Hinge in Atlanta, New York, or Dallas, places where you could go out to a place and meet somebody in real life. I kind of feel like that's an easy playground for you. And you just gonna stack
it.
them up because they're there because they want somebody. So now you kind of feel like that's easy pickings, as opposed to you see somebody at a bar, you don't know if they're single. You don't know their situation. You got to go engage them to find out. But on Hinge, you could be like, yep, yep, yep. And have
Nope.
you
Nope.
on your
Nope.
But I'm saying, like, I
I
feel
said,
like they
nope.
use it. It's like like they prey on women on these apps.
Right.
Because
Right.
I was just telling my homegirl, she was up here visiting from Atlanta, and I was like, girl, if a is on Hinge in Atlanta, Atlanta got all the places to go. Something is wrong. Unless you telling me you work 6 days a week and you just don't leave the house.
Right.
But I feel like they're going to be on Match.com if that's the case. Like they're actually going to spend the $36 a month
Real,
for that.
right? Every time I get on it, I see the same people.
The same people, girl. I'm so
So that tells
tired.
me this shit ain't working because you still here, first of all.
Right.
Right.
Bingo. That part. And I know men who are in relationships that still got their profiles there just in case.
Girl, oh,
Not just
Girl,
in case.
right.
the fact that you said that, because you know how you can link your Instagram to it. So
You
there's this
can't?
one guy, yes, there's this one guy that I know through somebody that I was, I don't want to say dating, went on a date with or two, and I met him while we were out. So, but I always see him on Hinge, and I don't know if he forgot that his Instagram was linked to his profile, because he updated his profile with the picture that he clearly took on his honeymoon,
Stupid.
but forgot that it was linked to his Instagram when he got his wedding picture.
Dumb. Dumb. Just
I
dumb.
told you they're fucking stupid.
The crazy part is, I'm
I'm
sure
stupid.
this guy is probably still getting matches. Like that probably deterred nothing.
Nothing.
It's
Lord.
it's
Nothing.
it's wild out here in these streets.
It is wild out here.
That's what I got for
I
you.
give up.
So for Tasha, since moving to a new city, what do you think is the most difficult part of dating in New York?
All of it. All of it. Like
Narrow it down. Narrow it down.
listen, when I left DC, I thought DC was a shit show. I thought DC was a tragedy. And now I gotta apologize to these men because I didn't know it could get this low. Like at least in DC, if I went out, somebody's gonna approach me and buy me a drink. I've been here 3
Mhm.
solid years, and I can tell you 2 times when a man has approached me to buy me a drink, and then one I bought me a drink and left. He didn't even want to talk, and I was like, "Damn, I want to let you go." Like
Mhm.
I'm like
So his wife.
excited that I might just be meeting somebody in person for once, right? And here go.
Mhm.
So I feel like, and I didn't expect that it would be so difficult to meet men here. It's very hard. And even when you do, you see somebody you're interested in, they just look at you all night. They just look at you.
Mhm.
You give them the eye, you give them the like, it's okay now. All night. They just gonna stare at you. Just gonna stare at you. That's it.
It's interesting,
Yeah.
right? Because as a native New Yorker, I look at everyone that's transplants that come here and they always find love like this.
What?
So that's
That's how I feel about Dallas.
Somebody gotta tell me the secret because I ain't found it. Oh my God.
but you know what? I think also if you change up your environment, because listen, if I didn't change my environment, I definitely would have met this guy. Like, and
Where did you
when I-
meet him?
Oh, at a wedding.
I thought you were going to say like Whole Foods or something. The
Girl,
fuck? You have to
right.
get
Like,
invited
wait
to
a
a
minute,
wedding.
sis.
wedding,
Terrified of marriage.
Oh,
it.
Yeah. Like I come from a fam, like my mom has been married 4 times, but my mom literally got married at 17 to get off of like St. Thomas. Like she did not want to be there. She has 9 sisters. 4 of her sisters married 4 brothers from a family of 12.
shit.
They got married at 16. They're 70 years old. Like you do not get divorced in my family once. Besides my mother, like in my family, you do not get divorced. You stay with them through all kinds of shit. And they're very traditional Caribbean people. So my thing is I've just seen like the shit that my aunts have gone through being married. And I'm just like, why? Like I respect my mom for getting divorced, but at the same time, I know my mom has not, like my mom comes from nothing, like literally nothing. My mother grew up in a shack, and she was one of those women that was just really beautiful, and she rode that shit. Like she has never worked. She's always been kept. I've seen both sides of it. Like I've seen my aunts who love their husbands and have been in there forever, and then I see my mom who has never paid a fucking bill in her life and has just rode the fact that she was pretty. So to me, marriage is just like, I'm terrified of marriage. I have a lot of childhood trauma.
As long as you're working on it,
Okay, we all,
Yeah.
that's it. That's all that matters.
we all got something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All of us. All of us.
Facts.
Like, I don't feel like marriage is the goal, right? It doesn't have to be. If you're comfortable, you and your partner are comfortable in that space, that's fine. My grandparents didn't get married until I was in junior high school. So please, when I tell you,
Yeah.
don't like that. That's why the society, oh, you gotta be married, you gotta be engaged. Like my mother's very old school. But I'm like, Ma, you had a child out of wedlock. Like, let's all calm down. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that serious. My mother went to a wedding because I was the firstborn, first to go to college, all of that. So she's like, oh, we're gonna have this, and that. I'm trying to elope. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to a courthouse and probably text
too.
it like, yo, y'all wanna pull up?
Mhm. Right.
That's me.
Yeah, I'll have a cookout or something. That's perfect.
That's so funny. If all of us did it and we waited this long to do it, nobody's like, yeah, I want to have a big blowout wedding. That's so interesting.
No.
Mhm.
'Cause I want to be real low.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want
Mhm.
any of that shit.
No, but I was like that in my 20s. I want to elope.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want the attention.
Yeah.
As much as
Mhm.
I love to get dressed up and stuff like that, but
I feel like it's very intimate. Like I feel like when I marry the person that I marry, I don't want anybody. Like if it could just be me and him and somebody else, and then we go have a fucking cookout, that'd be great. But when I actually vow to God, like this is my person, I don't need anybody there. Like that is not for everybody.
right.
Mhm.
It's not a show.
And I think a lot of these kids lost the concept of marriage. They think it's an Instagram show. It's not,
Mhm.
I think that's why,
Instagram dead.
right. That's why I think I'm like,
Right.
I'll text a group chat, yo, y'all want to pull up tomorrow? I'm going to get married real
Right.
quick.
I might get married
So,
quick.
was there any significant difference that you felt that you noticed between like us and the boys?
Everything that they felt like the women that they were dating weren't taking accountability for, or the things that they were experiencing. Now we've been talking, and I was just like, okay, I can kind of see it. A little bit, how they
A
might
little
be
toxic.
experiencing certain things on the flip side. Ladies, thank you so much for hanging out with me this evening. If you want to share with the people how they can find you on the internet so they can maybe slide into DMs, it's your chance. Why don't we start with you, Mia, Miss B Wavy?
You can find me at BEE_wavy, WAVY. I also curate playlists. You can find those at Sincerely Saturday. So either one of those.
Find me on Instagram at I_check_other__. Twitter, it's I_check_other.
For me, you can find me on Instagram, slim_sass. I'm very sassy in any and everything I do. Don't jump in my DMs because I'm not interested.
Is exclusively dating people.
Period. I'm figuring it out. That's it.
Oh, that's right. And that does it for this episode. So please be sure to download Secrets of the Opposite Sex, the app, subscribe to the podcast, like, and comment on the episode on YouTube. We'll see you next time. Bye.